Hello there, 8th graders. This is Teacher Krishna, and welcome to our science class for week number 16. One more time, thank you a lot for entering this online lesson and, of course, for completing all of the assignments that you have had so far. I really hope that you are doing well, healthy, and safe at home, of course, with all of your family. And remember to be strong, do not worry. Sooner or later, all of this situation is going to end up and we're going to go back to normal. So by now, I suggest that one more time you can retake a hobby that you used to have, or you can start a new hobby, like reading a book, playing an instrument, or I recommend that, of course, you can do something to stay healthy at your house, like exercising a little bit, or you can simply have some quality time with your family. That is always important. So with that being said, let's continue. Before we start, we have to follow the same directions we have every week. Get your physical or digital book, enter the Google Classroom, download your Word document, save it inside your science folder, and name your Word document just like it is specified right below. And as we move, remember to take notes on the Word document because that is going to help you to keep track of the most important things of this video and PowerPoint presentation. It's always important to start with the end in mind. And this way we're going to study lesson number 6, pages 100 to 107. And the end in mind for this topic is identifies how winds, there should be an S, are related to air pressure and temperature. All right, sounds pretty simple, and it is simple. We're going to analyze everything right now. So, the topic is basically winds. What does it mean? Basically, it is the movement of air. And here we have windsurfing. How is it possible? So you can look at the picture right here. It looks like a very extreme sport. And it's someone that is actually riding a board that is going pretty fast. And just like Jim Drakes explains it, Jim Drakes is one of the people that invented this sport. You need to transfer the wind force from the sail to your board. So the sail is basically that part that is attached to the board that is right in the middle. That is orange as well as red. So basically what happens is that there is always a good constant motion of air close to the ocean. So what happens is that if you can redirect the movement of the air from your sail to your board, then you're going to be able to reach even 80 kilometers per hour. Imagine that, it's insane. But it's part of the topic that we have to analyze today, related to, of course, winds. Now the question is, what causes winds? Well, the difference in air pressure generates winds. Remember that we learned about the convection current in one of the previous lessons. And basically, when there is a substance with a higher pressure and a lower pressure, then it is going to move up and down. So basically, the same thing happens. Because of the difference in air pressure around Earth, winds are created. And wind is basically the movement of air, just like I mentioned before. Something interesting is that the air is going to move from the one that has a high pressure to a one that has a lower pressure. Notice that usually the air that has a high pressure cannot act by itself, then it needs to be in contact with another type of air that has low pressure in order to have some sort of phenomenon, just like the one that is presented in winds. The difference in heat is what causes them. So notice that there are some parts in Earth that have a very high heat, and there is another part of where you can find colder places. So basically, the interaction in between cold and hot air, is what causes winds to form. Warm air rises and cold air goes down. Exactly. So the more you heat up air, the more it is going to start moving upwards. And the colder air gets, then the faster it is going to go to the ground. Here's one diagram that represents everything that we're talking about. So let's start right at the top where it says air cools. Exactly. So at that part in the atmosphere, then air is going to reach very low temperatures in which they're going to cool down. Then cool air is going to start sinking or going down. Then cool air replaces hot air. So, and now we have the air that was right at the bottom. It was heated up because of the sunlight or because of different interactions that I had right there. So hot air is going to start rising up again. It's going to go up and up and up in the atmosphere until it reaches a part where it cools down again. And of course, the whole process is repeated. One more time, remember, cold air is going to go down and hot air is going to go up. Now we're going to talk about measuring winds. So, in order to measure winds, we have to analyze direction and speed. If we talk about direction, then we specifically have four very specific spots that we can relate to. We have north, south, east, and west. And the tool that is going to help us out to actually identify in what direction the wind is moving to is something called the wind vane. We also have another tool that is an anemometer, and it is used to measure the speed of winds. It has cups at the end of spokes that are moved by the speed of the wind. And wind removes body heat. Yeah, this is something very interesting to analyze because I'm pretty sure that it has happened to you. Let's say that you are very warm in your house and you decide to go out. So when you go out, there is some wind that actually hits your body. And then you suddenly feel very cold. But basically it happens because when wind is in contact with your body, it is going to remove heat from you. And how do we call specifically this phenomenon? It is known as wind chill factor, increasing of the cooling effect of wind. Okay, and a wind can affect or can make you feel a different temperature. Yes, pretty much what I was explaining you about. And here we have the tools we were talking about to measure direction and speed of wind. So what you can see right at the bottom are the letters that state for the four cardinal points: north, south, east, west. So basically when air hits it, depending on the direction that it is heading to, it is going to show us where it is its direction. Now, if we talk about the anemometer, it's basically what you can see right at the top. Those type of cups are going to be moved by the force of the wind. And this tool is specifically programmed to measure the speed based on how much the cups at the top move. We have local winds. So local winds, they can act at a short range. Yeah, that's why they are local and they are not global winds. They just act in a very short area. They are caused by the unequal heating of a specific zone. Yeah, so one more time, remember, winds are always created because of the interaction of something hot and something cold. There are two types of local winds. We have a sea breeze, local breeze that comes from the sea, and it is in conflict with the temperature of the ground. We have land breeze, local breeze that comes from the ground. It is in conflict with the temperature of the sea. Well, it is better explained if I show you this picture. As you can see right at the top, we have the sea breeze. So during the day, what happens is that the ground is heated up more than the sea. So here is the conflict. So we have cold air that comes from the sea, and we have warm air that comes from the ground. So when it gets in conflict within each other, then the air is going to start moving like in circles. Now, on the other way around, what happens at night? Well, at night, the sea is warmer than the ground. So basically, the reaction is the opposite. So that's why we have the land breeze. So in this case, the cold air is going to start moving towards the ocean, and the warm air is going to start going through the ground. Okay, so these are the two types of local winds that we have. Now we're going to talk about global winds. They flow through long distances. Yeah. If we talk about local winds, we can mention something like Champerico here in Guatemala. But if we talk about global winds, of course, they are going to travel around the seas and they're going to travel all around the world. That is why they act in very long distances. They are somewhat similar to local winds since they form from unequal heating. Yeah, the principle is basically the same. So you have hot air and you have cold air. So when they are in contact, wind is produced. Sun rays are responsible for heating up Earth. The temperature changes depending on what part of Earth is analyzed. If we talk about the equator specifically, the equator receives a lot of the sunlight that comes from the sun. But if we talk about the poles, then it is a very cold place. But why does it happen in that way? Because of the angle that Earth has towards the sun. So basically what happens is that the poles do not receive as much sunlight as the equator. So here we can analyze the comparison of hot air and cold air. So hot air is going to be found in the equator, and cold air is going to be found in the poles. Air pressure is low at the equator, and it has a higher temperature. And air pressure is high at the poles, and it has a lower temperature. Yeah, so what happens is that the hotter air gets, then the lower pressure it has. And the colder air gets, then the higher pressure it has. Right here on the right, we have a diagram that represents the way the winds are being affected and how they are being created according to how the temperature is influenced by sunlight. All right, so now let's go with your evaluation. So please read and summarize lesson 6 from chapter 3, pages 100 to 107. Especially focus on pages 105 to 107. Now this is very, very important. Students have to upload just one Word document with the summaries they have done during the unit to the Google Classroom. All of the summaries must be in order. Remember that every week I ask you to make a summary and of course to save it in your science folder. So today you have to create one Word document where you copy and paste all of the summaries that you have done. Of course, they have to be in order. You must have 6 summaries in total. So summary number 1 will be from chapter number 3, lesson number 1. And the last summary, summary number 6, should be chapter number 3, lesson number 6. So you started working on this last week. So basically today you just have to add the last summary. I hope that you have done it already. So it's going to be very simple if you did what you were supposed to do last week. So you just complete your summary of this week in that Word document that you were working from last week. You upload it to the Google Classroom, and that is going to be your evaluation. What is the rubric? The aspects that are going to be checked are going to be order, 1 point, complete content, 1 point, general appearance, 1 point, grammar, 1 point, and images, 1 point. So that is it for today's class and presentation, guys. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I will be seeing you around next week. Goodbye.